Hi, I'm Jennifer Stewart, the manager of the Canton Branch Library, and today's session of the Giving Garden series is going to be about growing beans vertically using a bean teepee. And Marcia Tate, our wonderful, knowledgeable volunteer, will now show us how to achieve this.
Hi, my name's Marcia Tate, and I'm here today in the Giving Garden at the Canton Public Library. Today we're going to be planting pole beans, and pole beans are beans that grow up. They grow vertically as opposed to bush beans, which make a little bush. This is a great thing to do with kids. We're going to talk about how to do a bean teepee. So, let me tell you something about the bed. This is a 4 foot by 4 foot bed that is filled with what we call Mel's mix, which means it's 1/3 compost, 1/3 vermiculite, and 1/3 peat moss. This makes a real loose soil that's easy for the roots to get air and to get water. So if you want to know more about that kind of planting and planting in raised beds and doing square foot, the library actually has copies of Mel Bartholomew's square foot gardening book. So that might be helpful to you as a gardener. So to plant the beans, what we're going to do is make a little trough just a couple inches from the edge of the bed. I'm just going to take my hand and make about an inch down. So for me, an inch is about to my first knuckle. So I will make a trough all the way across this side. And then I'm going to place the beans in there about 2 or 3 inches apart. So I've got two kinds of beans I'm planting today. I'm planting asparagus beans, and I'm planting these because they're really fun for the kids. They actually grow long, I'm talking 8 to 12 or longer inch beans that are red. They're also called red noodle beans. And they look like this, the red noodle beans, asparagus beans. Also, I have a few, but not many, but I'm going to add them in there. Rose bean pole beans, and that's what they look like. So you can mix them, it's all good, it doesn't matter. And you put them 2 to 3 inches apart. So I'm going to start out with the rose bean, and then put asparagus beans, and I'll just alternate them until, see, that's about 2 inches apart. So I'm just going to eyeball it and put them across there. I may mix in some other kinds of beans on the other sides. Today we're just going to plant one side. I'll plant the other 3 when you're not looking. Okay. So here we go. And these beans will make little runners. Okay, I'm out of rose beans, so I'm just going to keep going with the asparagus. All the way across there. And I'm going to leave a little place on the end because later we're going to put some bamboo poles on the corners and make a teepee. So now I'm just going to bring the soil over the beans. Bring the soil over. Oops. That one went astray. Actually, you can just bring it together. I could move this side away. There we go. That should be about an inch below the surface. And in about 1 or 2 weeks, and then I'm going to pat it a little bit. Put him to bed. Night night, little beans. Give him some water. In about a week or 2, you'll start seeing beans come up. They need sunshine and water and the nutrients in the soil for them to grow. Okie dokie. We just planted our first row of pole beans. I'm going to put this little, and then I'll come back and plant the other 3 sides. But I'm going to label this bed with the asparagus yard long red seeded pole beans, because most of the beans in the bed are going to be just that. This is the rose pole bean, and as you can see, the bean puts out runners and they need a place to climb. So this is an example of how they can climb. You can use a metal screening, a metal wire. That's one way to help your pole beans have a place to grow. Today we're going to talk about how to make a bean teepee. I showed you how you can let your pole beans grow on a wire fencing over there on the square foot garden. But this will let you grow more beans in a small space. And that's the great thing about vertical gardening. You can grow a lot when you're growing upward in a small space. This is a 4x4 bed. Okay, so here are my bamboos. That's what I'm going to make the teepee with. These are 6 feet tall. One time I made the mistake of cutting some 8 feet tall, and guess what? I can't pick beans if they're growing 8 feet up in the air. No, I need them more like 6 feet. That makes more sense. Okay, so I've got 4 poles, and each pole has, we put screws about 4 inches down from the top. Each one has those screws, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So now we're going to go down so I can put these together. Okay, I've got the 4 poles lined up together with the screws lined up evenly, and I've tied twine onto one of the screws. Now I'm going to start weaving them together. I'll go under the first one, over the next one, and just to help the string not fall down the pole, I wrapped around the screw. I went over this one, so I'll go under the next one. Wrap around, over this one, under on the way back. Wrap around the screw, I'm going over and under. Okie dokie. So then, I just went over this one, so I'm going under the next one. Go away, little bug. Over, under. And as far as how many times do I do this, you can just do it a few times. If you have kids doing it with you, which is a lot of fun for them, they love doing it. Let each kid go back and forth at least once anyway. Okay, now I've got it onto the screw, so I think I don't have to keep going back around the screw. Over, under the next one, over on the way back, under this one, under, over, under. Okay, now let's tie this thing off. Sorry about that. Okay, we're just going to tie it off. I'll tie it a couple times. Now, the next step is the most fun for the kids. Especially you get 2 kids, and each one grabs 2 poles and pulls them apart. What do you know? You've got a structure that they can actually climb under. They love it. Now we're going to put it in the box where the beans are. There we go. Place a little bit. Now I'm going to put a little crown on this thing. This is an embroidery hoop that's about 8 inches wide. I have used sometimes the top of a tomato cage that it was just kind of coming apart, but here is the top of the tomato cage. I could use it and it would come down about that far, which is kind of good actually. I can really reach that. Whoops. This is an 8-inch. See how much smaller that is? Embroidery hoop. And it'll go a little bit taller. I think I'm going to try the hoop and see how that works. So now we're going to start stringing this thing. I've cut a length of twine off already to get us started. And you can see right here on this side, these are some staples. I can show you some over here. Staples like they use carpenters. Tacks. And I'm just going to tie this on. And get it started. It's really hard to take a big old ball of twine and do this. So I just keep cutting lengths of the twine off and tying them together. And I'll show you how to do that too. You see that thing's gonna go wonky. So what I'll do is string one side and then go string the opposite side so it doesn't get off balance. And you just go through this little, okay, there's a knot in that thing. I'm gonna cut that knot off. Okay. Might as well show you the big-os too. Okay, I'm going to leave it kind of loose. I can come back and tighten it just so we can balance it on each side. Down, then up across the hoop. That's as much as we can do with that one string. What I want to show you is how to join your string together. You're going to tie a square knot. So, easy if you just say this little thing, right over, here's my right hand. I'm going to go right string over the left one and go around and come back and take the left one over the right one. Right over left, left over right. That's a knot that's going to work for you. Let me show you that again. Here's 2 little pieces of string. You want to join 2 pieces of string and have them stay together and be strong. Take the right one over. Here's right, here's left. Right over left. Then left over right. There you go. Okay. So, like I was saying, it's hard to work with a great big old ball of twine. So you just keep cutting it and just keep going. I'll do one more. Through the loop, and there's some of the crazy stuff I did do. So now we have done all the stringing on all the sides of the TeePee, and I've been checking the tension, try not to make it too tight up here. At the end, I'm going to tie this off and do it in a way that I can untie this easily so that I can come back and change the tension as I need to, if I need to. So I'm just going to leave a loop. There you go. Well, happy bean growing.
For more information, you can check out the Square Foot Gardening Book through the Haywood County Public Library. I also invite you to tour the Giving Garden, which is located behind the Canton Branch Library.